Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Mm. All right, so I'm waiting on a couple of people to jump on so we can go ahead and get started. A couple of people to jump on so we can go ahead and get. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to Natural Hair Beauty Society. This is so exciting for us to come together and for me to give you all of my knowledge from the experience that I've had from behind the chair for 20 plus years, one lesson at a time, so that you all can be able to ask questions during our group coaching lesson, which is on Tuesdays at 7. So before I actually get into the lesson for today, let me fix this. I'm recording, but I'm probably going to reintroduce myself just for recording purposes. Okay. Whoever's on here, can you hear me? Hey, Brene. Can you hear me, Brene? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I'm checking everything before I actually jump in, before I do a whole bunch of talking and you can't hear me. You can hear me? Welcome, beautiful. So I'm going to bring this down here so I can see what y'all are saying. Okay, perfect. Hi, Taylor. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am recording this lesson and this will be put into our portal, which if you're just jumped in, you already have your portal set up. But I'm going to start over with my introduction because I am recording. So welcome to Natural Hair Beauty Society. I'm so happy to have you. I'm so excited to be able to create a space in which I can just give you all of my knowledge and I can help you reach your hair goals. So before I jump into the lesson for today, I just want to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my history and what landed me to where I am right now. First of all, I've been a licensed cosmetologist since 1999. It seems like a long time ago, but hair has always been my thing. Even as a little girl, I was gifted and talented as a hairstylist. I was cutting, coloring, doing everything to my hair at the age of 11. So it's been something that I have loved to do all of my life. So I got licensed in 99. I opened my salon, Euphoric Essence Salon, in 2008. And from there, I worked until 2012 when I got pregnant with Cadence, my youngest baby. And up until that point, I had been doing all chemical services, relaxers, color, you name it. During that time, there was a transition going on in the industry. Everybody was going natural. Everybody was like, what's this natural thing about? I want to go natural for different reasons. I didn't know at the time. I really didn't care, to be honest with you. When my clients would come to me and they would say, hey, I want to go natural. What you think about me going natural? And I would say, I have a referral for you because that's just not my lane. That's not something that I do. And I don't really find it beautiful. And I didn't. I thought it was ugly. I just didn't want to digest it at all. Even having one lung, because I'm a one lung survivor, I knew that what I was doing with the chemicals wasn't the best for my health. However, I didn't want to make a change. So I sat at home for 4 years after I had my youngest daughter and became a stay-at-home mom. And I got educated on environmental wellness. Had no clue what it was, but I've always made my health and my family's health a priority because of the fact that I do live with one lung. The history with that, me having one lung, they found a rare tumor in my lung when I was 22 years old, a tumor that had never been found in the lung before. When they found it, it was blocking the upper part of my right lung and caused it to be collapsed. So because it was so rare, I was sent to MD Anderson for them to figure out what to do to save the remaining part of my lung and to get rid of this tumor. The end result was for me to have surgery. I had the surgery. They ended up removing the whole entire lung and a portion of my main airway because the tumor had grown so aggressively. After that, I was in ICU in recovery. 3 days later, I took a turn for the worst. I was on life support for a month and a half, not expected to live. I coded 2 times. I had sepsis. I had a rare form of pneumonia. I had all kinds of complications. And after God healed my body, after 2 months of being in MD Anderson, at 65 pounds, I was able to go home. No medication, no oxygen. Since that day, I have been pretty healthy. And so I give God all the glory for my life, and I give God all the glory for my journey and for my purpose. So everything that I'm telling you now and the reason for me being in front of you right now is driven by my purpose of what God created me to do. Okay. So I had to share that story and that testimony because that testimony is the reason why I still live. And it is truly how I please God on a daily basis. So back to the story. I'm a one lung survivor, and my husband said, oh, I found out about environmental wellness. Environmental wellness is basically focusing in on toxins, eliminating toxins as much as you can around your body and in your body. Toxins, they make you sick. They enter into the body in different ways by what you eat, by what you inhale, by what you inject into your body, and what you put on your skin. Now, the part about what you put on your skin, I had no clue that 60% of everything you put onto your skin, 30% of it goes into your bloodstream. What it does depends on what it is that you're putting on your skin. So I learned about a lot of personal care products, hair products that have harmful chemicals that actually introduce cancer cells to your body. It disrupts your hormones. You have allergic reactions. It may trigger asthma. All of these things that we typically think we just get just because. I found out that it solely came from the chemicals that we're putting on our skin and that we're inhaling. So I took my newfound knowledge and I myself went natural after saying I would never go natural because it was the hideous, most ugliest thing ever. But I wanted to be healthy. And as I learned that knowledge, I wanted to share it with so many women because women are the gatekeepers of their homes. Anything that's bought that goes in and out, we typically buy it. And so I was like, well, if we find out this information, we can make better choices and we can have healthier families. That was my thought, but nobody would listen to me. So my husband was like, if you want them to listen to you, you may want to go back and do hair, because my clients never stopped calling me from when I had stopped doing hair 4 years prior. So I prayed about it and God said, go back and do hair, but do natural hair. You want me to go back and do natural hair, something I've never done behind the chair. I've only done it for me and I had to figure it out for myself. I have to scratch every product line that I've ever known because they were full of chemicals. And I wanted to open in a way in which I created a non-toxic environment for my clients. So 2 weeks later, after this epiphany and suggestion and prayer, I went back and rebranded and opened Euphoric Essence Salon. But this time it was in a non-toxic way. Everything about the experience, from the chemicals, from the shampoo and conditioner and products, they were chemical-free, toxin-free. From what I cleaned with, it was toxin-free. I diffused essential oils. I had toxin-killing plants, everything. And so here I am today because I went into that newfound lane with 2 clients. By the end of the year, I was booked to capacity. Nobody could get into me because I had mastered how to grow and maintain healthy, natural hair. So what I'm going to share with you through this whole entire membership is everything that I did in every regimen that I gave to my clients that made them reach their hair goals. So I had to tell you my story so that you'll know whose hands you're in and what you're in for. You're in for a treat and a gift that was God given to me. So thank you all for listening. I would like to get into our lesson. If y'all have any questions or comments, of course you can comment, I see them. And I'm also a certified wellness coach. So I took my knowledge from that and combined it with my knowledge of hair, and we created what we have today. So what you'll be learning is not just about how to take care of your hair externally. I'm going to be telling you things on how to take care of your hair and your overall wellness, which includes what goes on internally, because your hair is an extension of what you do or what's going on the inside, okay? So today's lesson is 6 factors that affect hair growth. And I'm going to share these notes with you. So you can take notes if you want. If not, that's fine. But I'm going to share this with you in the group. Actually, do I have the link? Do I have a link? No, I'll share it after I finish the live. I'll share it with you. There's 6 factors that affect hair growth. It's your age, your genetics, your diet, your health, your hair texture, your hair care practices. So those are the things that I'm going to dive into, a few of them, but a couple of them, I'm going to kind of just give you the basics because we'll dive deeper into it in future lessons, okay? So the first one I want to talk about that affects your hair growth is how old you are. Like, your age plays a major part in how your hair grows, the health of your hair, because as you get older, you're going to have fewer hair strand follicles, which means as your hair goes through its hair cycle, there's a growth cycle that we'll talk about. Sometimes it's not going to grow back due to your age, okay? You're going to have hormonal changes, fluctuations in your hormones, especially during menopause that you'll experience. You didn't know? Yes, Brene, yes. Your hair, it can lead to hair thinning and changes in your texture. Your hormones can. Your lowered estrogen, that's what happens as you get older, and lowered progesterone. So these are all hormonal changes that affect the health of your hair. You will have reduced blood flow as you get older if you're not maintaining your body and exercising, but these are things that just happen as we age. And so when your blood flow is reduced, therefore, not as many nutrients can actually get to your hair follicle, which is in your scalp. So When that blood flow is decreased, your hair follicle won't grow as fast without those nutrients. And then the third thing is your hair cycle changes. The hair growth cycle can lengthen and result in slower hair growth and increased hair shedding. So those are some things that may happen. It's not guaranteed, but I feel like it's very important that you consider as you age that your hair just may change, that may be one of the reasons why you have a little bit more shedding or it's not as full as it used to be, okay? So I want to go into some hair growth facts. As I mentioned, the growth cycle, let me talk to you about that because a lot of people have no clue that there is a hair growth cycle that your hair goes through all the time. It's always in one of those cycles. But first off, hair growth facts. On average, the hair grows 1/2 inch per month, which equals out to about 6 inches per year. That's on average. There are 4 stages of hair growth. They are anagen, which is the growing phase when your hair is growing. Catagen, which is the transitional phase. The telogen phase is the resting phase where it's just sitting and it's getting ready to go into the exogen phase, which is when your hair sheds. So as some people may say, my hair is shedding, that's so normal for your hair to shed. It doesn't always mean that something is wrong unless your shedding is excessive. Normal shedding is anywhere between 90 strands to 110 strands daily. Did you hear what I said? That's normal shedding. So anything that is extreme over that all the time, then that's something that you need to say, okay, something may be happening. Either my hormone may be imbalanced. I may need to go to the doctor and get some blood work done and have them test my thyroid or see if my vitamin D is off. Would you say, Brene? Is there a difference if the strands are long or short? So if the strands are long, that means there's some type of breakage going on. I'm sorry, short. If it's short, then there's some type of breakage. If it's like different amounts or lengths and they're shorter. If they're long, that's normal shedding. So that's the difference in the length of the strands. One is breakage if it's short. If it's long, like the rest, then that's shedding. Okay? So as you age, this cycle, it slows down. So that means it lasts a little longer in the shedding phase than it normally would. And so that's what causes the hair to grow a little slower. Next, we're going to talk about genetics. Did I answer your question, Brene? We're going to talk about genetics. It's a big deal. What's just passed on to you just because you're blood related to someone. Your hair texture. Your genes largely dictate whether your hair is straight, wavy, curly, or coily. Pattern baldness is something that is passed on through genetics. Genetic factors contribute to male and female pattern baldness. That's something you just cannot control if it's passed to you. Ailments, genetic predisposition can make you more susceptible to conditions like alopecia areata or other hair disorders. So those things are genetic as well and can be passed down. So alopecia areata is when you have the balding that can come and go. One form of alopecia is traction alopecia, which is caused from tension of the hair. It's being pulled out of the follicle and it just doesn't grow back. But the genetic one is typically alopecia areata, which has something to do with your autoimmune system, okay? Your length, genetic factors can affect how long your hair grows, which is kind of tied to your hair texture. Hair grows faster, which I'll talk about that a little later. The straighter it is, the faster it grows, and I'll tell you why at the end of the lesson because I have to cover that. The density of your hair is something that is genetic. Density, let me define that for you, is the amount of hair in an area of your scalp. How many hairs in that area? For an example, if you part your hair, and you can barely see your scalp, all you see is just hair, that means you have high density. And if you have normal density, then you can see the scalp and you can see the hair. If you have low density, that means if you part your hair, you basically look bald, like you can't see anything. And it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So that's low density. And then the color of your hair is genetic. Genetic factors affect what color. You can pull back from somebody in your family who had red hair, and you're like, how in the world did I get red blondish hair? Well, those are things that are passed on by genetics. Okay, so we have our age, we have our genetics, and now let's talk about our diet. Diet is such a big deal when it comes to how your hair grows. That's why I said we're going to talk about the inside of what you're putting inside your body and how that affects your hair growth. So when we talk about diet, we're going to talk about water intake. How often are you drinking your water? The importance of water is so extremely important because it's what helps carry the nutrients to your scalp for the blood flow to even nurture the follicle for your hair to grow. So water is extremely important, but we'll dive deeper into water in our next lesson when we talk about nutrition. Protein intake, which is how much protein are you getting, either from the meat that you eat, the plants, the beans, or protein shakes, like how much of that are you actually getting? That has a lot to do with how healthy your hair is as well, because your hair, its protein is called keratin, but it comes from internally, and we also can give the hair treatments externally that are called protein treatments that makes the hair strong. The vitamins and supplements and minerals that you take. I look at vitamins and supplements as an insurance for your body as to what you don't get from what you eat every day, because there's no way you can possibly eat everything that your body needs. So that's the insurance that you have to kind of pad the spots that you didn't get for your body to restore itself at night when you sleep. So we'll go more into vitamins and minerals and all the ones that you need and the food that's tied to them when we talk about nutrition in our next lesson. Your health, your hormones. So health matters, diet, and then you have your health. Hormones matter so much. My mother-in-law was just diagnosed with breast cancer, and she went into MD Anderson this past Monday, Tuesday, to get all of her testing and stuff like that done and to talk to the doctors and see what her plan of treatment is. And one of the things that they said was typically when women get breast cancer or any form of cancer, it's from their hormones. And so hormones are so very important, and it affects your hair. Not only does it affect your body and your overall health inside, but it definitely affects your health, especially if they're imbalanced. It will result in hair loss. That's how, when you have that extreme shedding, you go in and you get tested to test your thyroid and hormones, things of that sort, to see if that is in imbalance. Estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, even in pregnancy, your hormones are jacked up. Now, typically in pregnancy, we love our hair in pregnancy. You want to know why? We have more blood in our body that's flowing to the follicle. So our hair is extremely healthy. It's growing, it gets thick. And there's a hormone that our bodies naturally produces during pregnancy that does not allow the hair growth cycle that we talked about to go into the shedding phase. It doesn't allow it at all. So your hair barely comes out. So it's all thick, it's shiny because it has all this blood flow and all these nutrients. You're taking all these extra prenatal vitamins. So you're feeding yourself much healthier diets when you're pregnant, and you're like, you're thinking it's, oh, it's the baby, it's the baby. No, you made a lifestyle change once you become pregnant, and now your hair is so pretty and healthy. But after you have the baby, that hormone is no longer there. And that's when your hair kicks into that shedding phase that it avoided for your whole entire pregnancy. That's when you have the edges, the fine edges, you have the extreme hair shedding. All of the hair is just coming out that should have came out the 9 months that you were pregnant. So that's what's going on when you have this post-pregnancy shed or hair that you have going on that people talk about. Menopause. Menopause can cause the shedding because it's something that shifts in your hormones when you go through menopause. So it will cause your hair to go into some type of shedding. Sometimes it's not guaranteed, but always when you go into that and something starts to go on with your hair, think of the fact that my hormones are out of whack. I'm going through menopause. This may be why my hair is acting like this. Okay. So hair type is something that has everything to do with your hair growth. You have your straight, wavy, curly, and coily. Now your hair is growing, but you may think to yourself, what does this have to do with hair growth? Like how fast? Well, straight hair is easier to come out of the scalp because it's straight. Think of a wine cork. If you are trying to hammer a nail into a cork, it goes straight in. But think of if you're trying to open a bottle of wine and you have the one that's curved and you're wheeling it around and it takes a little longer because it has to go around and around. Well, that's straight versus curly hair. When it's coming out of your scalp, it has to go around and around like that. So it causes it to seem like the hair is growing much slower, but it's just the shape of the hair that makes that process look a little slower than it does with the straight hair because it's easier to just come straight out of the scalp. So that's what your hair type has to do with your hair growth process. All hair grows, but like I said, that's why when you see somebody with straight hair, you're like, dang girl, yo, you just got your hair cut because it grows so very quickly. It's so easy to come out of the scalp. And then finally, hair care practices. So when I say hair care practices, that means what you're doing on a consistent basis to your hair that you should be doing. That has a lot to do with your hair growth. That consists of your shampoo, which ones are you using, how often are you using it, your conditioning process, what type of conditioner are you using, your trims, how often are you getting them, your treatments, your hair detox, what products are you using, the scalp massage, and then what styles are you using? Are you damaging your hair when you feel like you're protecting your hair in a style? So these things matter when it comes to the hair growth that you're wanting to see. These are things that have to always be considered. How old you are, genetically what's going on in your family genes that's affecting you, your diet, your health, your hair care practices, your hair type, all of those things contribute to you having growing healthy hair. So as I dive in deeper, I kind of just gave you a surface of things that we're going to talk about, but not everything, but definitely more. In the next lesson, which will be next Thursday, we're going to talk about the nutrition side, like what things to feed your body when it comes to having healthy hair, what medications have what effects, because a lot of women are on medication due to being unhealthy or being like genetics, because some things like diabetes and cholesterol can be genetic. So how do you combat that when you're trying to get healthy hair? What do you do? And then illness and medication nutrition. So those are the things that we're going to talk about next week. What foods to eat, what vitamins that you need to have healthy hair, and ways to get that into your body. We're actually going to start a challenge October 1st. And that October 1st challenge is going to be our 30-day water challenge. It's our first one. We're doing it together because water intake is so important. And I'll go deeper into that in our next lesson next week. But as for today, that's the end of our lesson. Now on Tuesday, we're going to answer your questions that you may have from this lesson. So there's a post in this group. Go and find it. It should be in the featured section. List your questions that you have. If you think of them today, or if you think of them anytime before Tuesday, because on Tuesday, we're going to come back here live, and that is going to be our live group coaching session so that I can answer and make everything clear for you if you have any questions, I can answer them so that you could be good. So as for right now, you can leave comments if you like, and you can drop your questions here if you have some. And I'm gonna come back next Tuesday and answer them for you. But I have thoroughly enjoyed you. I hope you got some type of understanding from this lesson. I'm going to leave the notes from everything that I just talked about. There's going to be a link connected to the PDF, and in our portal, there's going to be a PDF that I leave in there that kind of like goes over what I went over tonight. Okay? Invite your friends if this has helped you. We're trying to fill up this community because the more the better, when we're all taking a journey together. That's the best thing ever. So look forward to our next lesson, and I'll see you soon.